Good evening. Welcome to the West Jordan Planning Commission meeting for March 7th, 2015. Note that all 7 members of the commission are present this evening. Leading off with our consent calendar, we have 2 items on there. Item 1A is the minutes from our February 17, 2015 calendar. And item 1B, which is a temporary use permit for Power Catering temporary food cart. Commissioner Jacob.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Rice. Any discussion to the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We have 2 public hearings this evening as well. The first one is the shop at 1650 West, 9000 South, preliminary site plan and a conditional use permit in an SC2 zone. Murray Family Investments, Dan Murray is the applicant. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
The time is now yours, sir.
Thank you. As you just heard, my name is Dan Murray and I'm the applicant here. I suspect you're familiar with this property. It is the last of the parcels between 1300 West and Redwood Road to develop along 90th South at 1650 West. It's an 1.5 acre parcel. I'm proposing to phase this, developing the first phase, which is just slightly over half the property, with approximately 5,100 square feet of inline retail space. The second phase, which will be out behind it to the north. I don't know yet what will be done with that portion of the property, so that's a bit of an unknown for me. The conditional use permit is triggered by a drive-up window. I'm finalizing the lease negotiations with Little Caesars. So we're looking to put Little Caesars on the west end of our building, served by that drive-up window. The other 2 retail bays, I do not have tenants on yet. I think it's a fairly clean application. In a conversation earlier today with Ray McCandless, he mentioned that our neighbor to the west had written a letter raising 3 concerns. And if it's okay, I'd like to take a second to address those. The first concern was over the location of the driveway. I guess when the tire center was originally developed, in the notes it states that they recommended moving that driveway slightly east so that it would align with the driveway across the street that goes into the shop co. Slightly west to align. Thank you. In my conversations both with the staff engineering department and with Bill, the city traffic engineer, and then with UDOT, they're fairly ambivalent on this. UDOT is telling me it's whatever the 2 property owners can agree to. He doesn't care if we leave the existing driveway in its current location, it'll be modified slightly, or if it's shifted, if the 2 property owners can agree to that. I'm processing that permit with UDOT right now and have received the first rounds of comments on it. We're taking what is a 54-foot driveway and narrowing it to 50. Conceptually, UDOT has approved that. The challenge that, the heartburn that I have with the proposal to shift the driveway to the west is a delivery issue. You can, if you look at this now, I don't have a pointer. Can I walk over there and use the finger?
There's usually one floating around. Got it.
Greg has a mouse.
If you look at this edge of our parking here, so if the driveway were repositioned anywhere along here, we would have parking on both sides of it, and this would shift over to here, which would cause them to, they'd have to reconfigure some of the parking on their property, which obviously they can do whatever they choose to do. But the challenge that I have with it is delivery trucks. In its existing location, whether they're going in to serve the tire store, which they've been doing for years and years, I suspect without a problem, or whether they're coming into our parcel, it's a fairly straight movement. Versus if it's shifted over here, it's a series, it's 2 90-degree turns that they have to make. It's a little more complicated. So I don't really see the benefit of aligning. I mean, is there a benefit with aligning it to the driveway across the street? Certainly. UDOT standard is that they ask it to be The second issue that I guess was raised was the environmental status of this property. I've delivered to the staff a phase 1 environmental. Both a phase 1 that was done in 2007 as well as the current phase 1 that was just done earlier this year in 2014. They don't recommend any further action. Both of them note that there's some used oil being stored on the property that needs to be disposed of properly. But both of them call out soil staining or concrete staining that they believe it to be de minimis and don't recommend any further action. Nobody will be as worried about that issue as I will be as I purchase this property. And so when the sellers, who are an excavation company, when they demolish the structures and remove all of the concrete, I'll have an environmental engineer on site at that point in time just to make sure that everything's done appropriately. But again, I'm referencing 2 phase 1s, neither of which recommend additional sampling, so I'm not sure what his concern is. And then the third item is the owner of the tire center also owns the drive aisle to the north of this piece of property. You can see as it enters into Home Depot. And I have spoken to him about connecting to that drive aisle. I don't know where that's going to go. I expressed a willingness to connect and a willingness to participate in the maintenance, the ongoing maintenance of that drive aisle, but he suggested that I should have to compensate him to make that connection, and he hasn't given me a figure on that. So if it's reasonable in my mind, I'm happy to do it, but if it's significant, I don't need that. I would like it. I think as a rule, it's always advantageous to connect as many of these properties on the interior as possible so that there's more latitude in movements. And I would like to do that here if it's reasonable. If the amount that he's requesting for it is significant, I can live without it, and I would live without it. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions. Those are the 3 items that were brought up by the neighbor.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Doesn't appear to at this time. We'll save you some time after the public comment if there's anything you'd like to address.
Thank you.
Mr. McAllis.
Thank you. We talked about these same issues in our pre-meeting a little earlier. I think the applicant has done a good job of addressing those. In terms of the drive aisle, if it were to be switched clear over to the other side of the property, that may not only interfere with the turn lane. There are a couple of other driveways that are closer to Redwood Road, but it would also, if the site plan were completely flipped, it would interfere with how the drive-through window functions, because the drive-through, the cars would be on the opposite side of the building. So we think for a number of reasons the access is probably the best place that it can be. He's addressed the environmental concerns, and then in terms of the second access, as I mentioned in the pre-meeting as well, they're only developing the front half of the property. There are certain distances where emergency vehicle turnarounds are required. When that back half part of the development property develops, they may or may not be required to have a second access. The applicant has shown in some of the other drawings, it wasn't on site plans I had thought, but that there would be possibly an access actually off to the west side sometime in the future, but that doesn't have to be in place as part of this approval. He does show as part of the site plan a temporary turnaround just at the end of the drive aisle to accommodate emergency vehicle access. So with that, our recommendation is for approval subject to the conditions that are listed in your staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for staff? There you are. now we'll open this meeting to the public. If there's anybody who would like to comment on this particular item, I invite you to the microphone. If you would give your name and contact information for the public record, and you will have 3 minutes to make your comments. Seeing none, we'll then close the public hearing and bring it back to the Planning Commission for further discussion. If there is any to be had. Commissioner Leitra, Pat.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I like how the applicant has incorporated what the DRC suggested in terms of changing the straight horizontal line and adding more relief to make it more aesthetically pleasing for what the vision of the city of West Jordan's development is. I think it's important to have the break in the parking lot so that people don't drive into the dirt. Just my 2 cents. It's nice to see that the applicants incorporated what the DRC has suggested.
Anybody else? Mr. Jacob,
Barring any further discussion, I'm prepared for a motion.
please.
Based on the findings set forth in the staff report and on the explanation this evening, I would move that we approve the preliminary site plan at 1650 West to be constructed on the property located at approximately 1650 West, 90 South in the SC2 zoning district with the conditions 1 through 4 as listed in the staff report.
Second.
Don't everybody jump.
Motion by Commissioner Jacob, second by Commissioner Laws. Any discussion of the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Brings us to the,
Actually, there's one more motion.
oh, that's right, there is. Sorry,
May I make another motion?
please.
Based on the findings of the staff report and the lack of discussion this evening, I move that we approve the conditional use permit for the fast food limited restaurant for the shops located at 1650 West 90th South with the SC2 zoning district with the conditions 1 through 4 as listed in the staff report.
I'll second that one too. Motion by Commissioner Jacob, second by Commissioner Laws. Any discussion of the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Pizza.
Now we will continue on to our last public hearing, which is the West Jordan Gateway Phase 4 Flex Office located at 9069 South, 1300 West, looking at a preliminary condominium site plan and plat in an SC2 and an SC2ZC zone. West Jordan Gateway, Chris McCandless is the applicant. Is the applicant present? Very well, time is now yours, sir. You would please give us your name.
Wayne Niederhauser. I'm one of the owners of CW Management with Chris McCandless, and we are owners and managers of West Jordan Gateway office buildings there. Just a little bit of history. 1997, we built our first building on the site. It's the 9071 building. Had about 24,000 square feet. At the time, it was probably one of the nicest buildings in West Jordan. It's a B+, A- building. It's very nice with marble and glass. It was, at the time, the 90th South Corridor was the place to be in West Jordan, and since that time it's actually changed quite a bit, and the 90th South Corridor has has become less than the hot spot for development. Most development now in West Jordan has kind of gone towards the Jordan Landing area. So in 2005 we approved another building, 9067 building. It's about a 34,000 square foot building with marble and glass, and that's a really nice interior. It's probably an A- build, and our hopes were that that area would continue to flourish, and it hasn't flourished like we had hoped. We've had a hard time leasing those buildings through the recession. Most of it was probably the recession, but it's also the whole feeling in that area, I think hopefully will improve and needs to improve going forward. We're trying to do something nice here in West Jordan. And we like West Jordan, we like being here, and we wanted to make the area a really nice place. We have some vacant property that's left from our original development plan. It was originally designed for 1 or 2 more 3-story buildings. We don't have enough parking for that. We could put another 3-story building there, but the market we don't have a market for rent. And so we decided to scale back, have plenty of parking for our other 2 buildings, and build a 15,000 square foot, almost 16,000 square foot single-story building on that site, and add some additional parking. So that's a little bit of the history, just for your information, commissioners, and appreciate the opportunity to address you here tonight. As I read through the staff report, I just want to make 2 comments to the staff report. The first comment is regarding the sidewalks on the north side of the building. But can you go back to the previous slide? The aerial view. One before that. There we go. So you can see the 9067 building that's just north of the site there, and you can see a little white line coming across the parking lot. Does everybody see that? That's a sidewalk, and that sidewalk is designed to connect. We were going to do a sister building to that building on the other side. They were designed to connect that. So we agree with staff's recommendation that we need to have a sidewalk or a width of access to the new building, which I can't remember what the address of that new building is going to be. So we would like to, instead of putting some access on the east side of the building, on the west side of the building, we would like to have that access consistent with the 9067 buildings, where you have a sidewalk that comes across the parking lot and then would enter into the new building that we're proposing. Now, there was mention of 2 accesses. Well, it's been our experience with the 9067 building, because we have parking on the west side of that building, that access is fairly easy, because between the handicap parking, sometimes there's some significant space. And so it hasn't been a problem that parking is all along that west side, because first of all, most of the handicap spots are never used. And then second of all, if they are used, there's some significant space between them. So there's some access space. So I'm asking the Planning Commission and staff to consider, our proposal would be to make sure that we have an access through parking, that there wouldn't be parking where this sidewalk comes across. That's the most aesthetic. That was in the general plan that we were trying to put forth. It's something that the staff brought up. We agree with that, and we want to make that access consistent with the other building that's there. And then if there needs to be another one, the handicap parking that's on the west side of the new building in the front gives plenty opportunity for people to come around and walk through and get to and access the building. So that's one comment I had that is in the staff report. The other comment has to do with the additional parking that we're adding in this plan, which is in a parcel that's behind the 9071 building, which is the lower building. You can see the 3 rooftop HVAC systems on that building. That's this building right there. Right behind there is a parcel that's included in this plan, and it's a recommendation of the staff that it be added to the condominium of the new building, which really doesn't work for us. What works for us is adding that additional parking that we're adding, and the reason why we're adding it is because we need it for that building and not the new building. If you look at in the staff report on page 5, it talks about, under criteria 5, it talks about the parking requirement that is 40 stalls for this building. And we're providing 71 new stalls. Well, we'll have plenty, there'll be more than 40 within the condominium plat, excluding that parcel. And the additional parking is really intended to solve some problems we have with the parking on the 9071 building, because True Hearing is kind of a call center, and so they have a lot of parking needs. Plus, the third level of that building is Wasatch Pediatrics, or South Point Pediatrics, and medical, obviously, because of the stacking they have in the waiting room, have a lot greater parking needs than just general office, so to speak. So that parcel, and our request is you give us at least the flexibility to add that parking to the 9071 building in that parcel, and then just condominiumize the condominium for the new building would exclude that, but would include all the parking there, which exceeds 40 new stalls. So those are the two comments I have on the staff report, and I'm happy to take any questions that you have on the project.
Commissioner Jacob?
Thank you. First of all, it's nice to see you up and going after the legislative session.
Thank you.
You caught up on your sleep. Good to see that your voice is back and everything. Way to go.
Thank you very much. I lost my voice during that last session for a week.
And I wanted to say thank you for your service there as well.
Thank you.
As far as the parking goes, I just had a comment / question. It's my experience with big parking lots and office parks that whether you assign parking spaces to one building or another, people are going to park and they're going to go to the building nearest to their parking place if that's the one that they want to go to. So is there a problem with the way the staff has laid it out here as far as, I mean, you want to put parking lots there, so it seems like it's just rolling it kind of all into one ball of wax and people are going to park where they're going to park anyway, right?
And that's a great comment, Commissioner. I appreciate that, because we have an association in place for the whole site,
Right.
which includes the HBA building and the building we built on 13th West years ago, the 9103 building, which we subsequently sold to some doctors that occupy that space. But there is some internal issues that we have accounting-wise that it's going to be much easier for us to deal. And the reason why we included this, and had we known that this was going to get caught up in this discussion, we probably wouldn't have submitted the additional parking. But we thought, we need the additional parking, let's just do it all at the same time. But our preference would be to take that one parcel that's kind of outlier and now add it to the parcel, and we'll go through our legal process, so we need to make that parcel part of the 9071 parcel, and then the other parcel there with the new would exclude that but have all the other elements there.
That would be a new subdivision plat at that point.
Yes. So we just would ask for some flexibility. We don't want it to be standalone. We won't let it stand alone, but we'll add it to the appropriate parcel and building that it needs to be added to. That's our ask.
Thank you.
And just for your information, because of that association, I don't know if I mentioned this, but there's crossover agreements. So it really is kind of it's kind of a moot point, because people park wherever they park, and that's the way the system is designed, or the association was designed. But for our accounting purposes and cost purposes and ownership purposes, the intention was always that that little parcel be part of the 9071 building.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you. We'll
Thank
save
you
some
very
time
much.
for the public hearing. Mr. McAllis?
Thank you. I'm sorry that the red line shifted on me, but it just did. as far as I think our interest would be to, I mean, we can handle that comment or that adjustment administratively. It's really not a big issue to us either way on how you handle that. If this parking goes with this building, I mean, it makes some sense because it's closest to it. And then just have this as the condominium plat, we would be fine with that. But I think we can handle this administratively.
So that doesn't impact our motion that we would need to make tonight at all.
No, I'm not going to include that in the conditions. I think the applicant is described what's proposed before you this evening. Just open up to any questions if you have any.
Any questions for staff? I have lunch tonight. Very well, then open the meeting up to the public. If there was anybody who would like to comment on this particular item, the time is now yours. Seeing none, we'll then close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Pack.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Similar to the comment that I made on the previous application, I really feel it's important that applications are scrutinized and that when requirements are well, I shouldn't use the word suggested, when a requirement's there, that the application is that fulfills that. So similar to how the other application fulfilled the mandates of the DRC, I like the accent on the top of the building, the horizontal band, vertical relief elements, staff criteria on criteria number 6. Staff mentions that everything that the DRC has suggested has been incorporated. So it's just nice to see that the process is working on applications and the committees are working and we're all communicating well and making sure that the process goes smoothly. So I haven't seen any problem with moving forward personally.
Commissioner Heiner, did you have something?
No.
Any other discussion? Jacob?
Yeah, could you just, Ray, could you back up about 2 or 3 slides? I saw something, one more. There we go. I just didn't get a chance to read that, added to the condominium. Okay. I saw something pointing at the parking lot. I zoomed by it too fast and I just didn't get to read it. Thank you. Freaking ringy.
Commissioner Heiner?
I was just going to make a motion
Please.
based on the findings set forth in the staff report and upon the evidence and explanations received today. I move that the Planning Commission approve the West Jordan Gateway Phase 4 Flex Office Preliminary Site Plan located at approximately 9069 South, 1300 West, subject to the 4 conditions.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Heiner, second by Commissioner Jacob. Any discussion to that motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. One more.
Okay, I'd like to, based on findings set forth in the staff report and upon the evidence and explanations received today, I move that the Planning Commission approve the West Jordan Gateway Phase 4 Office Preliminary Condominium Plat located at approximately 9069 South, 1300 West, subject to the 5 conditions set below.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Heiner, second by Commissioner Jacob. Any discussion to that motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And that concludes our agenda for the evening. Tom, do you have anything further for us tonight?
No, we don't. Just a reminder of the tour on the 28th.
Yes, and we are to be here at 8:45, I think was the email usually sent this morning.
You want to head out be around 9 if we can.
Okay. Anything else from the commission? You're all lit up, Commissioner Back.
Well, I was just going to make a comment that I see it's great to have checks and balances with different committees, and I've always thought, wouldn't it be nice to have different people serve on all these different committees? But actually, I've found that when planning commissioners or anyone else is serving in multiple capacities, it actually gives a better comprehensive overall view of things that are going on. We understand the issues better. It was really informative to me to be able to sit in on the DRC meeting last month, especially since two of our items had requirements in there. In one way, I can see it both ways, that it can be a conflict because you're serving in multiple roles, but the more that I serve over the years, I feel it really benefits the city when there aren't other people stepping up to serve. That it's really not a conflict, but it actually creates some synergy when you're knowing what's going on. Okay, well, this is what we did with the general plan. Oh, and the DRC has this requirement, and I want to make sure that I look at that for Planning Commission, and Board of Adjustment is doing this. And so anyway, I don't know, Commissioner Rice, how you feel about it, but it's been very enlightening to me, and I think it helps us do our jobs better when we're serving on these other subcommittees like the CEGB subcommittee.
Yeah, especially if you can follow a project through, see how it changes, see how it improves. It's good to be able to watch that and be a part of it.
Things don't fall through the cracks. You can scrutinize it and know what's going on from start to finish. So, thank you. I see that was a very entertaining comment as the
Don't take it personal.
yeah.
I'll move to adjourn.
Any opposition to that?
Negative.
We stand adjourned until April 7th. So I think we're officially convening on the 28th.